Total shock. Face screaming in fear. The entertainment world has been shaken once again by a revelation that no one expected, and it all centers around two names that fans can't stop talking about: Yaman and Demet Özdemir. For years, their story has been wrapped in mystery, whispered about in gossip magazines, and speculated endlessly by fans across Turkey, Italy, and beyond. But now, Demet has broken her silence with a confession so explosive that it could change everything we thought we knew about her relationship with Can. The actress, adored by millions and followed passionately on social media, recently gave an interview that took a completely unexpected turn. When asked about the moments in her life that shaped her the most, Demet's eyes clouded with emotion. Her voice trembled, her hands shook ever so slightly, and then came the words that froze the entire room: Yaman was not just a part of my career, he was a part of me. And some things he said, some things I felt, I can never forget. They changed me forever. The silence that followed was deafening. The interviewer, visibly stunned, leaned in, but Demet didn't rush to clarify. She let her words linger, heavy with meaning, as if she knew their impact would ignite a firestorm across media outlets worldwide. And she was right. Within minutes, clips of her statement went viral. Hashtags like #DemetConfession and #KenYamanShock were trending, and fans everywhere were in a frenzy trying to decode exactly what she meant. Was this simply nostalgia? Or was Demet admitting that the bond between her and Can had left a mark far deeper than anyone realized? Social media erupted with speculation. Some fans celebrated the confession as long-awaited validation. We always knew their connection was real, wrote one follower on Twitter. Others were heartbroken, seeing it as a painful reminder of a love story that ended too soon. Memes, edits, and fan-made videos flooded TikTok and Instagram, pairing Demet's emotional words with old scenes from their hit series, creating montages that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. Meanwhile, the press wasted no time amplifying the shock. Italian tabloids screamed headlines like "Demet's confession shakes Yaman to the core," while Turkish outlets dissected every word, every pause, every subtle expression on Demet's face. Theories poured in: was she reaching out to him? Was it closure? Or was it, as some fans dared to believe, a signal of unfinished business between the two? Behind the chaos, one truth became impossible to deny: Demet Özdemir's confession wasn't just about the past, it was about the undeniable impact she had on Yaman, and perhaps the impact he still has on her. And though the actress didn't say his name directly in every sentence, her tone, her trembling lips, and the way her voice cracked made it crystal clear. Yaman is still the chapter of her life that refuses to be closed. And now, with the world watching, the only question left is, how will Can respond? The aftermath of Demet Özdemir's words was nothing short of explosive. Within hours, television programs across Turkey and Italy were dedicating entire segments to analyzing the confession. Panels of experts, from psychologists to body language specialists, were invited to break down every frame of the interview. One analyst pointed out, when she spoke about Can, her eyes didn't just fill with tears, they softened. That's not acting, that's memory. That's love that still lingers. This wasn't just gossip anymore, it had become a national and even international conversation. Italian fans, who have long embraced Yaman as one of their own, took to social media in droves, demanding to know if he would address Demet's revelation. Turkish fans, equally passionate, flooded forums with emotional posts, many confessing that they themselves had cried when they heard Demet's words. But while the fans debated, those closest to Can noticed a subtle shift in him. According to insiders, the actor, usually so composed and strong, appeared unusually withdrawn in the days following Demet's confession. A crew member on his latest project reportedly shared, he was quiet, lost in thought. Normally, he's full of energy on set, joking with everyone. But that week, you could tell something was weighing heavily on him. It didn't take long for speculation to reach a fever pitch. Some fans became convinced that Demet's confession was not just a reflection of the past, but a direct message to Can himself. Others suggested it was her way of finding closure, a chance to finally say the words that had been left unsaid for years. Either way, it was impossible to ignore the effect her statement had. Not just on the public, but on Yaman himself. One moment in particular caught the attention of fans worldwide. During a live event in Rome just days after the interview aired, Ken was asked about love, regrets, and moving forward. He paused, visibly emotional, before answering softly, "Sometimes, love doesn't end. It just changes, but it never disappears." The crowd erupted. To many, this was as close to a confirmation as they were ever going to get. Clips of his response went viral instantly, with fans pairing his words with Demet's confession to create a narrative that felt undeniable. Their love, whether past or present, was still very much alive in their hearts. Meanwhile, the media began to craft their own storylines. Italian magazines declared, "Two hearts, still beating together." Turkish outlets speculated about a possible reunion, daring to suggest that the confession might pave the way for a rekindled relationship. For fans, the hope was intoxicating, even if it was only a dream. But behind the headlines and hashtags, what made the moment so powerful was its authenticity. Demet hadn't spoken like a celebrity giving an interview. She had spoken like a woman who still carried the weight of love, loss, and regret. And Ken, in his own quiet way, had responded not with denial, but with vulnerability. For years, fans had wondered whether the chemistry between them on screen was real. Now, with one confession and one heartfelt response, the world seemed to have its answer. As the days passed, the shockwaves of Demet Özdemir's confession only grew stronger. Online communities became battlegrounds of emotions, with fans dissecting every possible hidden meaning in her words. Some pointed out that she had said, "He was a part of me," emphasizing the present tense of her feelings rather than the past. Others noted the way her lips trembled when she said, "I can never forget." For many, these were not casual slips, they were deliberate choices that revealed the depth of her unresolved emotions. On TikTok, edits of Ken and Demet from their most iconic scenes resurfaced, now paired with captions like "True love never dies" and "The confession we waited years for." Fans added emotional songs, slow-motion effects, and even recreated the moment Demet's eyes welled up during the interview. In a matter of days, millions of views turned her confession into a global phenomenon. But the story didn't stop there. Rumors began to swirl that Demet had reached out to Ken privately after the interview. A Turkish entertainment journalist claimed, sources close to the actress suggest she made a call to Ken, wanting to explain what she said on camera. It wasn't just for the audience, it was for him, too. Though this report was never confirmed, it sent fans into a frenzy. If true, it meant that Demet's confession wasn't simply public, it was personal. Meanwhile, Ken's silence on social media became deafening. For a man who often shares glimpses of his life, whether it's a workout session, a project update, or a candid moment with fans, his sudden absence was telling. Followers flooded his comment sections with pleas, "Say something about Demet, we know you still love her, and her confession was for you, don't stay silent." Then, almost like fate intervening, an old video clip of Ken resurfaced. In it, he was asked about heartbreak, and his response was haunting, "When you truly love someone, that feeling never leaves. It changes, it hides, but it never dies." Fans immediately tied this to Demet's recent words, calling it proof that the two had always carried a torch for one another, even if apart. The press in Italy took it a step further, with one outlet boldly declaring, "Demet's confession, will Ken finally respond?" The question was on everyone's lips. Would he acknowledge her words publicly? Would he deny them? Or would he, as he had done in the past, let silence speak louder than any headline? Behind all the speculation, one thing was clear, Demet's confession had reignited a firestorm that neither she nor Ken could fully control. Their names, once inseparable in gossip columns and fan communities, were once again bound together in a way that felt both inevitable and unstoppable. And yet, perhaps the most powerful part of this entire saga was not the possibility of a reunion, but the reminder of the deep and lasting impact they had on one another. Love stories come and go, but some leave scars, and some leave flames that continue to burn long after the world thinks they've gone out. For Can and Demet, this was not just history. This was unfinished business. The intensity of Demet Özdemir's confession lingered like an echo across the entertainment world. Weeks after her words first aired, the conversation had not died down, it had only grown louder. Every magazine cover, every trending hashtag, every late-night talk show seemed to revolve around one burning question: what will Yaman do now? And yet, Can's response, or rather, his lack of one, became the most talked-about element of all. His silence wasn't interpreted as indifference, it was seen as a storm brewing beneath the surface. Fans speculated endlessly: was he too emotional to respond? Was he choosing to keep their story private? Or was he waiting for the perfect moment to speak his truth? Meanwhile, Demet herself retreated from the spotlight. Aside from a few professional appearances, she remained quiet, almost as if she knew the weight of her words had already done enough. Her silence fueled even more theories. Some said she regretted opening up, others believed she had said exactly what she wanted, and that now the ball was in Can's court. But even in silence, small signs continued to emerge. Paparazzi photos captured Can looking unusually pensive during a walk in Rome, his head lowered, his phone clutched tightly in his hand. A Turkish tabloid claimed that Demet had sent him a private message after the interview, something heartfelt, something that left him unable to sleep. Of course, no one could prove it, but for fans, the possibility was enough to reignite their hopes. Then came a moment that nearly broke the internet. During a live event in Italy, a fan shouted from the crowd, "Do you still love Demet?" The entire room fell silent, waiting for Can's reaction. He froze, glanced down, and for a brief moment, his eyes filled with something unspoken. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. Instead, he whispered into the microphone, "Some feelings never die." The crowd erupted in gasps, screams, and tears. Within minutes, the clip went viral, paired side by side with Demet's confession. Headlines screamed across Europe and Turkey, "Can responds, the love story lives on." For fans, this was the confirmation they had been waiting for. Not a denial, not a dismissal, but a quiet acknowledgement that the bond between Yaman and Demet Özdemir was not something that could simply vanish with time. It was alive, even if hidden beneath layers of fame, distance, and silence. And yet, the story was far from over. The unanswered question remained: what comes next? Would they see each other again, face to face, away from the cameras? Would they take the risk of starting over, despite everything that had happened? Or would they choose to keep their love confined to memories, to confessions and half-revealed truths? Psychologists invited to TV panels suggested that Demet's confession was a form of catharsis, a way of releasing years of bottled-up emotions. But others disagreed, pointing to her trembling voice and her words, which carried the unmistakable weight of a present, not just a past. This wasn't closure, one expert said. This was an opening. And perhaps that's why the world couldn't look away. Because in their story, people saw more than just celebrity drama. They saw their own unfinished loves, their own what-ifs, their own moments where silence spoke louder than words. As the dust settled, one thing became undeniable: Demet Özdemir's confession and Yaman's quiet response had reignited one of the most powerful love stories in recent memory. Whether it leads to reconciliation, to closure, or to an eternal mystery, the truth is clear: neither of them ever truly let go. And so, the legend of Can and Demet continues. A story written in whispers, in tears, in silences that carry more meaning than any public statement ever could. A story that proves that sometimes, no matter how much time passes, no matter how many barriers rise between two people, love remains. Fans across the world repeat the same phrase like a mantra: some feelings never die. And for Yaman and Demet Özdemir, those feelings may be the very thing that keeps their names forever entwined in the hearts of millions.